Well, howdy there, folks. James, Political Friar, coming to you again. Happy New Year to everyone. I wish you well with your resolutions and your family's, health and safety in the next year. Hopefully, 2024 is going to be a banger. I expect there'll be a lot of political news that'll keep me making videos. And in that line, well, I've got the organ hat on, as you see. So we're going to talk a little bit about politics. In particular, we're going to talk about what Congress is going to have to accomplish over the next 17 to 32 days. And that is the passing of budget bills to keep the government funded. Last November, amid the speaker fight, the government shutdown was averted by passing a continuing resolution to fund the government through January 19th and February 2nd for some departments. Well, that continuing resolution is coming up, and Speaker Johnson is going to have to figure out what to do about funding the government. See, it's all well and good to pass a bill like the National Defense Appropriations Act, but that just sets policy and it sets what they want to spend money on. It doesn't actually authorize the Treasury to appropriate the funds to actually spend the money. The Treasury gets money from two places primarily. They get money from tax receipts, which is where they get most of their money, and then they get money by borrowing on international markets. And to spend those tax receipts or to borrow, Congress has to authorize the Treasury to do that in law. And the normal way to do that is through a budget. You pass a budget that sets the funding levels for the entire government and then authorizes the Treasury to go ahead and make that a reality. Now, the budget process has become more than just a little fraught over the last, say, 3 decades. Many years the American government has not passed a budget and has instead passed what are called continuing resolutions, similar to the one that Speaker Johnson used to kick the ball down the field to January 19th. Continuing resolutions say, in general, that we're just going to go ahead and continue to authorize the Treasury to fund everything at the same rates as we did last time we passed a budget. And they're really inefficient. For starters, continuing resolutions are real bad because they don't address to the needs that actually come up. It's super wasteful to have a continuing resolution fund a program that's no longer relevant. But you can't not fund it. That's what the continuing resolution says. And so you may have COVID-19 programs that are frankly wasteful just getting funded for no particular reason in this continuing resolution, if that's what we end up having to do in January. It doesn't sound like something that Republicans would otherwise be in favor of, but there's a twist. See, even though continuing resolutions are really inefficient and really bad for governance, they are cuts. They do effectively cut the budget because with a economy growing, tax receipts increasing, and frankly government expenditures, actual demand for government services increasing along with a growing economy, population, and tax base, when you have a continuing resolution, you're freezing the actual spending at the last year's rates. And so the economy grows and the government spending doesn't. That's a net cut in in fiscal terms. I mean, it's not a literal cut, but you will get more money in 2024 than you did in 2023. And so if you actually spend like it's 2023, it's going to help the deficit. Maybe Republicans are willing to tolerate a degree of inefficiency and bad governance to simply have those numbers go that direction on aggregate. And that's basically what Mike Johnson has proposed. He's proposed that they pass a continuing resolution setting the 2024 budget at the 2023 levels. That's a big sledgehammer to actually reduce government spending net when maybe a scalpel or at least like a chainsaw like Argentina's Milei wants to do. This is about as blunt a tool as you can get to reducing government spending is the one that Mike Johnson is proposing, and it's the reason why Mitch McConnell on the Senate side has flatly rejected it. Says no, we're not going to have a continuing resolution because Mitch McConnell understands that continuing resolutions hurt the military more than anything else. See, the federal budget is broken up into roughly thirds. It's 1/3 defense spending, military, 1/3 entitlements, Social Security and welfare primarily, welfare, Medicare, primarily among them, and then one third other discretionary spending, basically everything else. The continuing resolution wouldn't affect the entitlements; those that funding is locked in by law, but it would affect defense and discretionary. And the Defense Department has on its National Defense Authorization Act a big spending increase. Everybody agrees that we need to spend more on defense. The Democrats and the Republicans both passed that idea with huge bipartisan consensus over the objection of right wing Republicans. And if you don't pass the appropriations bill, it's all just hot air. A continuing resolution would not put in place those defense spending increases. Actually, it would have a literal cut. See, under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, something passed by Republican Congress and Barack Obama, you can't use continuing resolutions past May 1st without incurring a 1% across the board penalty. That is to say, everybody gets a 1% cut. Don't care how you do it, but Defense Department, you get a 1% cut. Commerce Department, you get a 1% cut. Everybody gets a 1% cut if you are using a continuing resolution. And so Johnson sees this as another opportunity to reduce government spending in, albeit an incredibly blunt way. But it would work. And if your sole goal is to reduce net government spending in any way possible, well, passing a continuing resolution would do that. It would be super wasteful. It would be harmful to the country. It is, I don't think, necessary. I think there are enough Republicans and Democrats who are willing to actually govern to pass a budget, but among those Republicans and Democrats who are willing to govern is not the right wing of the Republican Party. The right wing of the Republican Party is interested in burning things up, tearing things down, and causing chaos. And you know what? Refusing to participate in the budget appropriations beyond a continuing resolution is it's right in line with the governing philosophy of burn it all down. I hope it doesn't come to that, because letting a small minority on the right control this country is a capital B bad thing, but it could. Anyway, keep your eye on it. If you see a actual budget bill come up by January 19th, we'll know that there's been some sort of reasonable compromise. And frankly, anything is better than a continuing resolution for the health of the country. You could cut more than the continuing resolution would and do it in a better way, and it would be better for the country. The Democrats should consider that if the Republicans offer that. And the Republicans should consider cutting something around the same amount as a continuing resolution would, but maybe a little more targeting. Or maybe the Republicans should consider cutting maybe less than the continuing resolution with more targeting, because all of those options, more, same, less, are you going to be better targeted than the blunt sledgehammer? Maybe is even not a strong enough word. It's like getting hit by a Mack truck that simply cross the board cuts with no finesse and no consideration would imply. You're going to spend money on stuff you don't mean to, and you're going to not spend money on stuff that you need to. And that's no way to run a banana stand, even if there is always money in the bottom. Anyway, it's just a thought. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments down below. Leave this video a like and a comment, and subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate that opportunity to come to you. I try to put 2 of these out a day, and so it's good fun to get the feedback. I appreciate you. Thanks.